Forbidden Love at Work. Complete story. Catherine had been preparing for weeks for her first day at the Harrison Co. office. She had worked very hard to get the position of assistant executive, and she was willing to give it her all. With a cup of coffee in one hand and a stack of documents in the other, she entered the building, not knowing that her life would take an unexpected turn. In the first step low, she crossed paths with her boss, Ben Harrison, the company owner. He was everything she had heard in the rumors: tall, blonde, attractive, and with a look that could melt anyone, if not fool. It was because of his cold and distant attitude. "Good morning," Mr. Harrison said Catherine, trying to sound professional. Ben barely looked up from his mobile phone, his face expressionless. "Good morning. Are you Catherine, the new assistant?" "Yes, I am. It's an honor to work here. I'm very excited." Ben observed her briefly and then nodded indifferently. "I hope you are ready to work hard. The company doesn't have time for novices." Catherine nodded quickly, feeling her heart beat faster than normal. She had read a lot about him, but never imagined the first imp regression would be so cold. The days passed. Catherine strove to do everything well, but Ben didn't seem to notice. He was completely focused on work, and, although he was extremely successful, his personal life was a mystery to everyone. He often spent hours in the office with the only company of his assistant, who was her. One afternoon, while Ben was reviewing some documents in his office, Catherine decided to prepare the weekly report. Suddenly, the door opened and Ben entered, without warning. She, surprised, got up instantly. "Catherine, have you noticed Are you working on that report?" Ben asked in a firm voice, pointing to the computer screen. "Yes, I've noticed some inconsistencies." "I'm working on it," she replied, trying not to seem nervous. He observed her for a few seconds, then approached and leaned over her desk, looking at the report. "It seems that not everything is so bad after all. What happens is that sometimes you are a little distracted." Catherine felt her face blush. Was she being evaluated, or was that simply her way of speaking? "I'm sorry, Mr. Harrison. I'm working to improve those details." Ben remained silent for a moment, as if he were evaluating something. "You don't have to apologize so much. Just remember that everything here has to be perfect. We are an elite company. If it doesn't, if you give the best of yourself, you could leave as quickly as you arrived." Catherine nodded and turned back to work, although she felt as if she were trapped on a tightrope, and he, her implacable boss. If he were there, he would constantly watch over her. A week later, Catherine was invited to an important meeting with Ben and other executives. Everyone was discussing a large project. What could make the company grow even more? The tension in the room was palpable, and Catherine was trying to keep up with the conversation. Suddenly, Ben paused and looked directly at Catherine. "Catherine, do you have any idea how we can solve this problem?" she asked so directly that it made everyone's eyes turn to her. She felt trapped. She knew that any mistake could cost her her job, but she also felt that she should give her best. "I think we could do a deeper investigation into the international market. If we aim for that segment, we could considerably increase our profits," he said, looking for the most logical way to approach the situation. Ben stared at him fixedly for a long second, as if he were evaluating each word he said. Finally, he smiled slightly. "Well, that sounds reasonable." The meeting continued, but Catherine felt Ben's gaze on her. Something in his attitude had changed. And although he remained distant, there was something more in his behavior, a subtle admiration. After that day, something broke in the relationship between Catherine and Ben. It was no longer just an assistant. Jung Hefei. There was a spark of complicity between them, although neither of them was willing to admit it. The conversations in the office became longer, and every time Catherine entered a report or presented an idea, Ben seemed more interested than should be appropriate. But there was a barrier that neither of them wanted to cross. The fact that the love between them, it was prohibited by company rules. One night, after a long day of work, Catherine found herself in the elevator with Ben. Both were exhausted, and the silence between them was uncomfortable. "Thank you for all your work, Catherine. I really appreciate it," said Ben, breaking the silence. She smiled slightly, not knowing what to answer. But before she could say anything, he turned towards her with a serious look. "We can't keep doing this, Catherine. You and I, You know this isn't right. Catherine felt a knot in her stomach. Was he rejecting her? Or simply, were you looking for an excuse not to fall into temptation? I know, she whispered. The tension between them was palpable. And just when it seemed that the words weren't going to come out, Ben took her hand, completely surprising her. I can't stop thinking about you, he admitted. Catherine looked at him, her eyes full of confusion, desire, and fear. Could they really be together? Is it worth risking everything? For a love that never should have been? Before she could answer, Ben kissed her. A passionate kiss, full of everything they had both kept inside. The story of Catherine and Ben does not end there. After that night, both made difficult decisions. Ben resigned from his position in the company, and the relationship between them began to be accepted, but not without sacrifices. Catherine learned sometimes the most intense loves are the most dangerous, but also the ones worth it. End.